How are we doing, Celestial Rising, Divine Afternoon? I don't like how I said that greeting. It's a great and wonderful afternoon. And I tend to want to say that every video just because when you're not watching one of my videos, when you're not watching anybody else's videos, when you're not doing whatever program that you continuously do every single day, whether it's productive or degrading, always remember that every day is a great day. To be alive, to experience the good and experience the bad. So every time you wake up, every time you open your eyes, appreciate what you put yourself in. And yeah, it does not exist, but enjoy what you see existence being for today, just for today, because today is all that matters to enhance tomorrow's choices, because you already made that choice for tomorrow. And Celestial Rising, Divine Afternoon, and Grand Night to the optimistic, open-minded Divine Mirage watching this mindful message. It's your Divine Reflection, Divine Messenger, and we are back with another message. And understand, if you choose to, you enjoy these videos, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more divine messages, because we can only go up from here. And today, I want to talk about how peace is a mask that a lot of people wear to avoid confronting their rage. That's exactly why a lot of times I tend to not want to make peace with peace. And that's exactly why, too, in my previous videos, I tell people, or I had told somebody, even myself, you cannot make peace with peace. You can only create what peace could never create within itself, because you are the creation of that peace. But in order to correct that peace into making it peaceful, you have to confront your rage. But then, as far as the practice of exfoliating rage, or even emitting anger, or showing any type of emotion that is seen as, whoa, we shouldn't do that. You shouldn't express that. People need to express their rage. You need to express your frustrations. I'm not telling you to do it your life, but I'm saying it's a benefit. It's such an indescribable feeling whenever you go outside and you just yell. You punch a pillow, you punch a punching bag, you go out for a run and you're crying at the exact same time. You go for a walk and you just stand, you tear up or whatever. It's okay to face your feelings. And I feel like that's exactly why people go into these different psychotic modes or demonstrations of being frustrated. It's frustrating to not be able to acknowledge your frustrations because of societal expectations or validations. Also in my water, I have a gallon of water right here, and if you see it looks like it's dirty water or whatever, I put lion's mane in there. And lion's mane to me is a great herbal supplement because I have this pill version of the lion's mane. So I twist it open, and then the little capsule, you should know what little capsules are, but a little capsule has powder form in it, or a powder supplement of lion's mane. Take that top off, and I make sure so I'm getting all the supplements into the gallon of water. So when I fill this up to the top of, this banister or this frame or whatever, I'm basically now just watching all the lion's mane dissolve into the water, and then I see the particles still in the water. So as I'm drinking it, as I'm consuming it, I can only become more intelligent by being open-minded in the neurological pathways working in connection with what I'm trying to string along as far as a teaching for today. Because the thing I realized was, well, with rage, it's frustrating when you get somewhere in life. It's frustrating when you become conscious in something. It's frustrating when you're spiritually in tune with your nature. But majority of people that you come across, you encounter, you meet up with, you date, whatever, they're not on that exact same path. And there are no levels. I was about to say level as well, but I gotta contradict that, because levels mentally, you can only experience, and not everybody's willing to experience your experiences. Many people can only see life through their lens. So when you give an example of rage or frustration, for example, having symptoms of OCD, or just, having just any cleaning disorder, whatever the case may be, which is OCD. That's the brain's response into keeping you safe in a dirty environment. And some people think as if you're going overboard when you're constantly cleaning something. And I can see why. But a lot of times you have to be able to find that balance for the rage and the peace, because it, for example, it causes me to be frustrated when I'm in a shared space and I'm done making a video, or I'm done working out, I'm done going for a walk, I'm done just being outside, being mindful, just sitting here, like doing that. That to me brings joy. It brings fulfillment in what I know I'm destined to be doing every single day. So as I'm doing that, I understand I don't want to come back to an environment that's dirty. Things are all over the place as far as dishes and bowls. The counter's not clean. We got stains all over the fucking stove and shit. I mean, the air fryers aren't clean. The refrigerator still has items that need to be left out, or no, that need to be taken out for as far as the trash. We got, just different ideas in your head. When you start noticing these things, it causes you to have these conversations with people. But even if you are talking to somebody with where you are, they still cannot fathom why you're taking this situation so serious. It's not, to them, there's nothing wrong with dirtying up their peace, because that's what they're used to. That's the only way that they can find fulfillment in what they are practicing, which is just basically just being a lazy spirited person. And a lot of times when you're around that, just because of your circumstance, you have to be able to confront that rage, because it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to express or even demonstrate the emotions that you're going through, because it is justified. Because if you come from a clean household where things are placed in certain instances, or things are placed in certain barriers, you do not want to overstep that boundary or that limitation. So when you practice that habit for your household, for your space under your roof, you want that exact same respect in the household. And if you have a dirty environment, you don't respect yourself, because imagine you have a hard working day, you've been going through things, and yet the most frustrating thing is somebody not picking up their slack whenever you know that they're slacking in life and they could be doing better. But yet something about settling with your frustrations is what's keeping you stuck. And it's not good to be stuck in anger, but not talking to it, not being able to study your frustrations, that's only going to kill you or make you commit suicide. Excuse me. And the thing is, I swear I had an updated version on this, but it's cool. So the one thing I realize is that when people have suppressed anger, that feeling is safer than when you're expressing it. Because a lot of times people fear being judged or rejected because they are acting in what is causing them to be upset. And they'll pretend to live in peace. So these people, they're putting on a facade, they're putting on a mask, because all they can relate to is the frustrating moments. They can only exude what they know they have to stop doing, but not stop doing completely or entirely, no. Because I feel like if you have road rage, people, and I say that because, just being in the city that I'm around and all that, traffic is common. If you don't have traffic near the city of Atlanta, you are not living in the city of Atlanta or in the outskirts or in Metro Atlanta, period. But when you see somebody doing dumb shit, like if you drive, you know what I mean. When you're driving, you got some of those intersections or some of those little gaps in the lanes to where it's like a turning section. So you may have a store outlet on this road or whatever, but you have this turning lane coming here, and you have the expressway or the freeway going right here, or this road, this main road going down, and you're on this side and the turning lane is right here. Somebody will look at you driving down this lane, and they'll wait for you to get closer, and they'll say, "What are you doing? Why would you turn out?" And I'm right damn, excuse me, you see what I mean? I had to stop myself even from burping. Excuse me, because I could have burped at any situation, but I burped at that thought. That's me finding something to, well, of course, even my body just doing its natural rhythm, but at that moment, my body decided to burp to stop myself from getting upset. That's what you got to do with life. And the thing is, too, treat life as a burp. Treat life as control your emotions, and then when you do that, see that as you stopping at a stop sign. Because if you stop and keep going, you may get a ticket for that because you didn't completely stop at the stop sign. And a lot of times people, or life is just petty in general, so you may get a ticket for that. But even still with your rage, you may get a ticket for that because if somebody cuts you off, it's frustrating, it's upsetting because what the hell are you doing? You could have got killed. You could have got your car totaled. You could have did a 360. You could have been off the road and I could have went to prison for that. People don't think about anybody else but themselves, and that's frustrating. But don't suppress that frustration. It's okay to see what it looks like on the outward perception of where you are in life. But the thing is though, be open to not caring about how people see your rage because you have to be able to confront it yourself. Being calm is really just an emotional paralysis. So a lot of times people will have a fake connotation for inner peace, but they're just emotionally numbing themselves because their nervous system is frozen just from their past trauma. So a lot of times I feel like too, people who are emotionally numb, who think as if, they're turning cold-hearted or they got to be this type of character, that's not really you for real. Because you being calm, you're purposefully not wanting your emotions to come to the surface to be alive again. Being in this realm, you have to master the lessons. And if you have a lesson to control your chaos and it's acting out of its place, why not place it in what you guided yourself into placing yourself into being guided by? If your emotions have no guidance, where are you at? So being calm, you can be calm all you want, but you know it's upsetting you. So to remain calm is just freezing yourself in what you have to face. And if you don't face that, you come right back into realizing that this upsetting nature in the back of your mind has to come into the front of what you are ignoring. If you are avoiding your frustrations, you are blocking your healing pathways to help get you to a higher enlightenment. Because having peace can't exist until you face, feel, and transmute this energy of rage that's hidden beneath the mask that you wear. Remember, you cannot have your own peace. We already talked about that too. So people who, that's why I don't like fake happiness. Have you ever been in group settings or even just a job? And I gotta hurry this video up too, because I have orientation at 5, so I need to get ready around 4. But have you ever been in group settings where people are exfoliating fake happiness as if everything is jolly? They'll sit here and tell you good morning and this and that. How's everybody doing? Oh, everybody's not in the spirits today. Yeah, no, you're showing an example of what you aren't happy in. So this false sensation of happiness cannot help me feel my emotions. I can feel that by seeing how calm you never were. That's what I know. You're playing different facades because you want people to have this expectation or reminder of who you were being on that day. That's why in order for you to heal, you have to be able to watch your scattered energy play a character or play a role. Or it has to act, basically. Your DNA has to act. Now, a lot of people, what I notice as well, when you're performing or even, I would say giving, I don't want to say perform, because performing is damn sure like you're under puppet mastery. So when you're watching the alchemy of, I'm watching the butterfly too, so my bad, y'all. When you're watching the demonstration of peace, you think as if you can protect your ego through that peace, but you're not doing it for the spirit. Because remember, people will act as if being in peace can maintain their identity of being good or just above what their ego hasn't even realized as far as a negative connotation for emotions. But that's disconnecting you from your spirit, because people think as if you can act out what peace is. No, peace is not an act, but it's a way of living. You have to be able to live in peace, and then you have to live without it. That's what's frustrating. It's frustrating to know that every day you cannot have your own peace, especially if you share life with a wife or a husband or kids, cousins, family. Don't expect to have your own days of peace. You may get your peace whenever you're not around them. But when you're with yourself, it's still frustrating to be with yourself. And why is that? Because there's too much noise in the truth that you've been hiding from. You cannot put on an act to be in peace. No, because you're protecting your ego from somebody else's chaos. No. Remember, we came here to watch chaos control itself, and it still can't do that. So watch chaos flourish. It's never going to know itself, and it's never going to be able to beat itself or conquer its own mindset. That's why when you were born into that database of chaos, you were taught how to learn your lesson in that form. That was never forming chaos. That's why you shouldn't even try to maintain that identity. Just experience it. That's why I condone alchemy, because with alchemy, you can transmute so many things without having to say a word. So no matter how much peace I want in this life, I can only show myself what I gotta stop protecting. My ego wants that peace. Spiritually, I don't know what frustration is. I don't know what peace is. I don't know what happiness is. I don't know what being sad is. I don't know what depression is. I don't know what gender is. I don't know what titles are in my spirit. But physically, that's why it's frustrating towards my nature, because when you're moving in spirit, you are thinking and acting ahead of time, to where how you act and how you see yourself cannot be labeled. It couldn't be imagined in the future beyond or outside of the measuring of time. When you're in the timeline that we think we're stuck in mentally, it's frustrating because you can observe your body in a third person or first person, whatever. Well, I'll say third person because you are the narrator for your life. When you know that and you're watching yourself, for example, I'm so high out of my body, I'm watching myself move my left hand. I'm watching myself with my MacBook in my right hand. I'm aware of myself making this video because I'm trying to get that access to what my observation knew when I was taking a nap earlier. So these thoughts were already scripted before the video started when I was taking a nap, because I was just basically being mindful. I was being tired. I wanted to go ahead and just gather my thoughts real quick, be mindful for over 2 hours, for example. And I do that a lot. So I don't usually go to bed at night, but I'm basically being mindful if I can't sleep, which will transmute me into being in a sleeping state of being. So that's exactly why, to that point for number 4, stop acting out peace and be in spirit. And then lastly for that as well, what I realized is that when you are holding on to a fake version of peace, you're stunning your growth, or you are delaying it. Because a lot of times when people skip being angry, when people skip being frustrated, when people skip being mad, they're going away from the lesson. They're going away from the test. It's like you go into a classroom, the teacher says, okay, we talked about so much for these 2 weeks. We have a quiz, we have a test today. And you say, I don't feel good, or I'm not gonna take that test, so you walk out. You're walking out on yourself, because remember, our emotions, our rage, our frustrations, they should not be seen as enemies, because they are teachers. Everything that makes you mad, everything that gets you out of your character, that is your teacher. That is your lesson maker that you have to start making lessons in. Now, my solutions for these things, because I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get frustrated, because let's say if I don't have Parmesan cheese in my grass or whatever, and I'm looking around like, damn, where the fuck the Parmesan cheese at and all that shit, I'm going to get upset. But then when I realize, oh, wait a minute, I had it tucked away somewhere, that's on me. That's on me. But then if I know that I didn't have it in the first place and I know somebody has it, I'm going to get upset, and that's okay, because I want it to be in a spot that's supposed to be in, but that's not where it's supposed to be. I shouldn't even feel a way about matter. That's what's frustrating. Why should I feel a certain way about delusions playing within themselves? We need to sit with our energy. Stop running away from it. Sit with that rage and stop running away from what you want to get upset about. No. As I'm doing right now, I'm sitting with the things that make me upset, because they're not upsetting. People should give themselves permission to feel their anger without fully judging it, because it's just energy. Stop putting evil labelings on your nature, on your choices. Because I feel as if too, when you tell yourself, is it okay if I feel my anger today? Yes, that's when you cry. That's when you shout. That's when you jump up and down. That's when you start singing. That's when you start dancing. That's when you just start walking. That's when you just start being silent. Channel that energy into finding clarity, because it's not chaotic. All you're doing when you're channeling that energy, when you're watching it flow, you can observe what chaos never knew about itself. That's what makes it worth living. The next one I put down, write and speak out the things that you don't speak about. Journaling, voice recordings, presentations, PowerPoints, demonstrations, teachings, doesn't really matter. Do all these things and record what you are really mad about. Put a name on what betrayed you. Put a name on what crossed you. Put a name on what you fear. When you do these things, when you are putting names, when you describe, when you decide on what that is and you learn about it, now you can speak up for yourself. Because when you're writing things down, you're more liable to realize what it was. You're more acceptable to recognizing what it is in a whole different dimension because you're quantum leaping. When you speak up about what you don't speak up about, the lies write themselves out into the life that you can see face first. And by you facing them first, remember, what are you mad about? What are you happy about? And you can name 10 things that make you happy. That's not happiness. But you want to wear that mask of happiness because those things give you that external stimulation for pleasing the drug called the mind. The next one, you have to find the root. Stop focusing on the trigger. Because I would ask myself, what deeper wound is rage or anger protecting internally? What is it? What does that wound look like? Where did it come from? I had to study that. So could it be guilt, shame, abandonment, powerlessness, doubt, fear, envy? What's the root? What's the root cause of that? Neglect, abuse, trauma? I mean, many different, I would say, nature desires that we would never do. But once you find out what the root of the cause is, all you do is watch the illusion grow. Because remember, you don't want to pull out what was going to ground itself in that foundation. Because remember, every foundation that you see, good or bad, you made it up. So if you pull out this creation, you're killing a part of yourself. You're killing a part of the root that you planted. Because in order to see that weed in what you want to have a harvest in, you had to create a makeup genetically that never genetically was even being there in that form called a plant or plant life. So if you're going to plant your life, don't look for the triggers. I mean, now obviously look for the triggers, but when you find a root, that you can find a trigger that found itself by rooting itself into your life that caused you to go against yourself. The next one I put, instead of exploding all the time, not saying that you should not do that, but transmute that energy. And I said that because, for example, your energy, if you want to put a negative connotation on it, can bring you more wisdom when you express it with awareness. If you're going to shout, if you're going to scream, if you're going to punch on things, if you're going to do whatever, when you're aware of that, now it makes more sense. Now it's healing. Now it can help you understand how to become more wise of your emotional intelligence. Because, and the thing is too, like we already talked about, when you're transmuting that, you can scream into your pillow. Boxing, for example, crying, creating, being mindful. When you're doing that, for example, I don't think there was anything frustrating today besides getting up early for class. So let me go ahead. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, getting up for class today. Because it was my lifespan development psychology class. We were just talking about how babies don't recognize their facial recognition till like 4 to 6 weeks or whatever the case. And it's that whole spill on that. But it made me upset because I don't like 3D conversations because they're too surface level. And even though they sound intelligent coming from a professor who knows what she's talking about, it's upsetting because when she gives the floor to have open discussion and all that for the questions that she has, it's like I have so much in my mind to say to her questions, but I don't want to seem like the guinea pig. I don't want to seem as if I'm the teacher's pet or the kiss ass. I don't want to seem as if I have to be the one to lean on understanding for psychology. It got to a point to where these people, it was two girls and they always sit like in front of my row. So I have like a theater class or whatever, but it's not theater. I have two girls, they're sitting right here, right here. I'm sitting right here. Then a guy was sitting in front of me over here. And we were supposed to be playing emotional charades. And so the professor was looking for two volunteers. One of the girls looked at the guy next to her, next to her, and she said, I think you should go. And he was like, shit, me, I ain't going nowhere. And them three were laughing. She gonna turn around, look at me. Excuse me. She's gonna turn around and look at me, and she said, I definitely think that you should go. I said, nah, I think you should go. You should be a great candidate for that. And even with the questions as well, even like about social media and how it's changed, you know, gender, how it's changed expectations on society, and just how it became a norm and all that. I basically just said it's a contradiction because people are in two different worlds and they don't know how to, for one, they don't know what they don't know. So people go into the world of social media and they're following validation that they can't even validate. So once they get on this internet, it's like they're playing into a different mass that they have never seen before, but that's the following of the hive mind. So as I'm saying that, I see, you know, people and they're looking at me to see who's talking. So as I realize those things frustrate me the most because I definitely, in my mind, I want to scream and say, what the fuck are you looking at? Why aren't people answering the question? Why can't you answer the question the way that you want to? But I gotta sit back and realize and transmit the energy and say to myself, okay, Darius, excuse me, it's not wrong to bring spirituality into the classroom. But I gotta realize as well with time, with leveling of information, you saying how you feel spiritually will not get, it won't have the formation of accepting what they haven't ever realized before. So I could have went more in depth in class, but I decided to narrow it down to a dumbed down vibration, and that's not being real to myself, and that's what pissed me off today. So things like that, for example, because my day to me is so minimal, but it's a movie. And the thing is too, I'm not, well, not yet, but there are just so many things that happen in my life to where I don't make it seem like it's just a whole big thing. But if I told you about my day, there are things that happen that I don't care for, but realistically, it's so much happening just a span of time. So I transmute that energy and just breathe in class, and I say to myself, don't worry about who's looking at you. Don't worry about who agrees with you. Don't worry about who gets quiet after you say something. And the thing is too that makes me very upset. I hate when I say, excuse me, I hate when I say something that's just out of this world and people get quiet. Because I feel as if, it's like, tell me your thoughts. Why is it that when people say something, I don't want them to feel uncomfortable in that silence? I don't, because I know from the human perception, people get uncomfortable in silence because that's their truth. But then when I do it, I can say something, I don't mind the silence, but my thing is, we're having a conversation, we're having a discourse. To me, it's rude to quiet down the conversation when we're having a conversation that you wanted to have. I mean, oh my God. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. I mean, if you want to have a conversation, if you want my time, if I'm going to be somewhere in a setting, it's so disrespectful to me. And you may think as if, how? You're overdoing it. That's the frustrating part. I want us to be in the same alignment, and I can't expect that. That's what's frustrating. But that's exactly why I transmute. That's how you know I'm excited, my bad. I'm transmuting. But see, that's frustrating. My excitement moves so fast, I can't even string along the articulation correctly without stumbling over my fucking words and my speech impediment. That's frustrating. But by me acknowledging that, by me, and the thing is too, we just had a key point. Transmute, but never shout, never kill somebody, never take it out on your family. No, transmute it. My frustrations in society, and the thing is too, what I realize as well, for me to not have karma, because I don't believe in karma, but to not have negativity bestowed upon me, the things I go through, I do not put onto you. That to me is very selfish. If I'm going through things that are upsetting to me, that may hurt me, make me sad, in a lower state of being, it's not my job to come on here and tell you about that, no. But if I'm teaching you something, my experience can help you become better than what I experienced. That's all I care about. But it's not my job to tell you about what I'm going through, because if I do, it won't make sense to me. Because why do you have to know about that? Why should I make you feel bad about my life? Why should I make you feel less than? Why? Life does that already, so why should I come on here and do that to you? No. My life is not always peaches and cream, but I choose to make it that way by transmuting what I think I seen. And lastly, you have to rebuild your peace from being truthful with yourself and not having an image. Because having this divine peace is going to be stamped after you have rage that's been seeing itself being held on to a quiet performance that can help you get into your most abundant alignment. Because remember, after you've seen and you held on to this rage, now you can see yourself again. And then now peace can now help you understand what you've never seen before. And that's exactly why too, being able to see the rage and hold on to it and not just throw it to the wayside, you're becoming more aligned, because you're seeing that this alignment helps you understand that peace is what you make of it. Because you two are in the same exact family. You're in the same exact bracket of categories, or whatever you want to call labelings. Because us and our emotions are neck and neck, we have to stop pushing them away. They're walking alongside of us because them too, I was gonna say they too, but them too are learning how to give birth to more lies that died the moment that they were giving birth to their life emotionally. Which is exactly why no matter what you do, you don't have to wear the mask of peace to be in peace. Be in it by appreciating the things that cause you to want to be upset, that cause you to want to feel less than. Basically saying it's okay to be in your lower urge. It's okay to be in your chaos. It's okay to be in your negativity. But as it mean act out upon that as far as hurting somebody else. Now when it comes to you, by all means, do what you want to do to you. But don't shout at anybody. Don't put your hands on nobody. Don't talk down on anybody. Definitely don't fucking curse them. Excuse me, definitely don't curse them. Don't curse them. And don't make them feel how they already feel about themselves. It's our job to not only uplift ourselves, love ourselves, but make somebody else that sees us see themselves as well, when their emotions will never let them see what they always were never being outside of what their emotions could never be. Have a great and divine day, Divine Reflection.